There are beneficial and, of course, not so beneficial countries to live and to pay taxes to in Latin America. In today's video, we're going to dive into the best and worst countries of Latin America for both tax optimization to optimize your money and your finances, but also from a lifestyle perspective. And this lifestyle component is subjective. Of course, while I may enjoy X country or city, others may not, and others may share the opinion that I have. So it's very subjective from a lifestyle perspective. However, when tax planning and lifestyle planning, we get questions often from our clients who are wanting to know what some of the safest countries are in Latin America. If they are looking to live part of the year or to work their way toward naturalization in that country, they want to know what the best countries to protect their money and to use the banking system are. So today we're going to dive into what some of that looks like from my perspective, having traveled around Latin America for the last 2.5, 3 years. So let's start with the best countries in my opinion. Now, there are three different ones, and ironically, all of them in my books are beginning with a P. So the first one I'm going to start out with is Peru. Now, I absolutely loved the country of Peru. And I know that many agree with this sentiment, and quite a few also disagree. So it very much so depends on your experience, what you did, and where you went in Peru. But in my opinion, Peru has it all from a lifestyle perspective. Peru has beautiful beaches, has beautiful cities like Lima right on the water, especially if you're staying in the more foreigner expat popular areas of Miraflores, of Barranco. It is absolutely stunning to wake up, look out your window, and see the beautiful cliffs along with the ocean right there in front of you. Of course, Peru also has the Amazon, it has Machu Picchu, it has rainforests. There is so much that you can do within Peru, and that is why I really love the country and the diversity that it has to offer. Now, from a tax standpoint, Peru can and cannot be beneficial. It does have quite a high personal and corporate taxation rate. However, there is an option for a business incorporation. If your business is doing around 150,000 or less annually, then you can pay as low as 1.5% tax in corporate income. So there is a small tax break if you are getting started as an entrepreneur in the country. Next up on my 3Ps best list in Latin America is Panama. Now, Panama can be very hit or miss depending on the individual. I very much so enjoyed Panama from a lifestyle and, of course, from a taxation perspective. Let's first look at the lifestyle perspective, where it is a fairly small central downtown area, but it's nice because it is walkable. You may have to walk some long distances depending on where you're going, but for the most part, it is very much so walkable. And they have a beautiful, well, small, but beautiful old town of Casco Viejo. Of course, from a taxation perspective, Panama is a territorial tax system. And we do a lot of work in Panama where clients are looking to get businesses structured, get non-resident bank accounts for both themselves individually, for their corporations, whether registered in Panama or otherwise. So Panama is a very beneficial tax system. Of course, you do not need to live in Panama, but as a resident, you do have the option to live in Panama. And if you are interested in learning more about how you can obtain Panama residency for around $10,000, $15,000 for the main applicant, and this is compared to the real estate option, which you're looking at starting at 200,000 plus, easily going into $500,000 USD. Then reach out to us because we can certainly help get this process underway in a matter of a few days and a very short amount of time for you to be on the ground in Panama, for you to get residency. Last but not least, we have Paraguay. Now, I absolutely love Paraguay from a lifestyle perspective. It is a very laid back lifestyle. The capital city of Asuncion is quite a small city, and it is not a very walkable city. So for me, this is personally a drawback as I love to walk for hours and hours on end. But you can walk for 2, 3, 4 hours and walk most of the city in Paraguay. However, most people are not looking to do this, especially in the hot and humid summer heat of Paraguay. If you will be there in November, December, January, it is absolutely hot, so humid. I would not recommend visiting Paraguay during these times of years. However, a reason that I do enjoy Paraguay is because it is a very small city. It's very easy to relax, go to a rooftop pool, get a great meal at a great price at a local fish house, steak house. There are so many things that you can do, especially if you have friends in the country. And there are some great day trips to be had. Of course, most of these day trips are going to be more rural, but it's very interesting to explore the culture and the history, especially the history that Paraguay has to offer. Now, again, from a taxation perspective, similar to Panama, Paraguay is also a territorial tax system. So, whether you choose to live in the country or to not live in the country, you can still benefit from a 10% flat tax rate or potentially 0% if you have the right structure. Moving on to my list of worst countries in Latin America. And again, this is very subjective. The first one here, actually, all of these are quite hot takes because I know many global citizens, nomads, who absolutely love these countries and love spending time in them long term. But for me, the first one on the list is Colombia. Now, there are various different cities that you can live in Colombia. Of course, you have Bogota, Medellin, Cali, Cartagena. So there are various different options depending on what you're looking for and the climate that you're looking for, which is very important to me when living in a city longer term. Colombia is a great place if you are looking for parties, especially in the world famous party city of Medellin. There are certain areas that are foreigner friendly. However, there are certain areas like the downtown of Medellin, which are very dangerous. And I just saw so many drugs, and we're talking hard drugs in the middle of the street in broad daylight. It was not the scene for me. Again, if you are looking for that party adventure vibe, then Colombia may be of interest. But for myself, from what I saw, and really, if I was looking to get to know some local Colombians, to make friends, not only have foreigner friends, then it would be a lot more difficult. And it wasn't a country that I felt overly safe in, especially some cities over others. So if you are interested in Colombia, I do recommend to travel to various different cities, as I previously mentioned, and see which one is more your vibe. Of course, Colombia's pathway to residency is not the most straightforward, but what most clients opt for is for the investor visa when you invest in a property, and it is a fairly low investment amount. This does change at the beginning of every year, but it is still quite low. If you're interested in investing in a property in Colombia, you can gain residency through that route, and we can help if you are interested in learning more. You can book a call with us below, and we can get the process of residency in Colombia underway for you. The next one I have is Mexico. So Mexico is both a good and a bad, depending on how you look at it. I do want to note that from a lifestyle perspective, the food is amazing. However, it's very fatty and oily, especially if you are trying the authentic local Mexican cuisine. If you're getting some street tacos, some street on the food, it can be not the most healthy. And also, I have had food poisoning multiple times in Mexico, which I have not experienced in any other country in Latin America. Now, of course, Mexico has various different climates. The climate in the south of Mexico, where most foreigners initially go to, which is Cancun, Tulum, potentially in Merida, then it is going to be very hot and humid all year round. Of course, in the summer months in May, June, July, August, it's going to be peak humidity and peak heat. But throughout the year round, even in the wintertime, it's still very humid. If you are looking for more temperate climates, then central Mexico around Mexico City is going to be a lot more interesting to you. I do love Mexico City. It is a great city. Don't get me wrong. There is a lot of crime. Of course, Mexico has its own crime issues, making it more unsafe for the locals, not so much for tourists, but sometimes tourists do still get involved in these things, whether intentionally or unfortunately a lot of the time on accident. So Mexico can be a great place, again, depending on what you're looking for. And it does have some very interesting residency options. And then, of course, naturalization in 5 years' time. The last country I'm going to talk about on my worst list was a country I actually did enjoy a lot of my time in the capital city, and this is Chile. But there are a few reasons why I put Chile on the worst list in Latin America. And here is why. From a lifestyle perspective, Chile is going to be one of the more expensive countries in Latin America. By no means is it the same price as a Los Angeles or a Vancouver, but it is expensive when you are comparing it to Latin American standards. The capital of Santiago is absolutely beautiful. I loved my time in Santiago, but there is not too much to do. There are some main foreigner areas, industrialized areas, malls, bars, but other than that, which are fairly small areas, there's not too much going on unless you really go to seek it out. I found it was more of a quiet city, which is great for certain periods of life and for certain people. But to live full time, it was not for me. Of course, if you're interested in nature, then Chile and Argentina are both very interesting options. If you head to the south, if you want to take a road trip and you want to go down to the south of Chile, then there are lots of amazing options in terms of nature. From a tax perspective in Chile, Chile is most certainly not known as being a low tax or tax favorable country. The personal income tax goes up to a progressive 35%. So it's not low by any means. It's not the highest, but for Latin America, it is not the lowest, where there are various other jurisdictions in Latin America that are going to be much more tax friendly for you if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, and really looking to optimize your taxes. Of course, they do have a tax break for 6 years as a new resident in the country, but then you will go back to paying a high tax rate if you choose to stay longer than this time period. There's also the option to start a business, but you're looking at a few hundred thousand, around half a million USD in order to start a business and gain residency. So Chile is a great option if you're looking for stability, you're looking for one of the financially strongest countries within Latin America, then Chile may be a good option for you. And there is still a route to pay low tax and to get residency. It's not going to be the most straightforward, but it is an option for quite a few clients who are looking for a more stable, quiet life within Latin America. As always, if you're interested in learning more about these countries or any other jurisdictions within Latin America, Europe, or Asia, where you're looking to open bank accounts, whether personal, corporate, you would like to obtain residencies, citizenships, or to have a tax optimized company formation in said country, reach out to us. You can book a call with us below to chat further. And if you're interested in learning more about tax optimization and residency stacking, click the video on the screen now and I'll see you there.